Well, you've been making your brags around town that you've been a lover, my man. But the man I love, when he picks up trash, he puts it in a garbage can.
The City of Aspen makes waste reduction a priority to protect our environment, conserve resources, and reduce greenhouse gases. We provide trash and recycling options throughout Aspen, as well as supplies for those who want to divert waste through composting. Residents and visitors are encouraged to reuse items and then recycle what can't be used again. Whether you're taking a walk in the park, cleaning out closets, or making a meal, Aspen provides the receptacles and guidelines to help you reduce waste. Reusing, recycling, and composting are ways everyone can help keep Aspen clean and beautiful. The City of Aspen is here to help make waste reduction and diversion possible by increasing the understanding of what it takes to ensure proper disposal, recycling, and composting of waste. We appreciate your interest in sharing what you learn on Talkin' Trashy. The City of Aspen Environmental Health and Sustainability Department is proud to provide this program as a service to our community. We welcome your questions and ideas for future programming. For more information about all of our environmental programs, please visit www.cityofaspen.com. Thank you for watching.
Talking Trashy is generously supported by Evergreen Zero Waste.
Hi, this is Liz Chapman. Thank you so much for joining me on Talkin' Trashy. I do not have Jack Johnson. He is off in Antarctica counting penguins. I jest. Who I actually have with me today for our episode about household hazardous waste is Jeanette Whitcomb from the City of Aspen's Environmental Health and Sustainability Department. Jeanette has been a senior environmental health specialist with the City of Aspen for over 17 years now?
19.
19 years, Jeanette.
Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah. But you're experienced, and waste, especially hazardous waste, is something you've spent some time on.
Yeah, I actually did what you did for a while, and then I also run the chemical management program for the city. So I love helping people out, answering questions about hazardous waste and getting it out of their house.
Well, and you work frequently with the state so that you keep the city and myself and yourself up to date on all the latest regulations and know all about that. So thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure. I have wanted to be on this show for a long time, so I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we'll have to tell Jack to stay on that boat in Antarctica.
Totally.
I'll send him a parka, some hot cocoa. So household hazardous waste. I think the first thing we should talk about is what is household hazardous waste?
Right. Well, I'm glad that we were able to take stuff from our garages and storage units to demonstrate that it can be a lot of things. It can be things that are like solvents, things that are corrosive, oils. It can even be natural products.
Absolutely. I think that's something that people get confused about is if natural means safe. And that is maybe sometimes, but not necessarily. And one of the things, so we've got a lot of examples we're going to talk about. We've got them on our website, but this is not everything. There are many corrosive, flammable, poisonous things that people should be aware of. So some of the things that I think it's important is if it says on the label, keep out of reach of children, it's probably hazardous.
Right. I mean, it's even on, on the Myers. I mean, who doesn't love Myers?
Love Myers.
It's, avoid eye contact.
Yeah.
Don't spray it in your eye.
Don't spray it in your eyes.
Good.
Probably a little bit toxic.
Yeah, anything toxic shouldn't go in the landfill because otherwise it could eventually get into our water supply and our air quality is
absolutely
protected.
Get into our soil, makes our landfill more dangerous. So we want to talk about some of these things item by item, and all of these things are not trash. They're waste, but they don't belong in the landfill.
Right.
They do belong at the household hazardous waste facility out at the landfill.
Which is a great facility.
It is a great facility. They will take all of this stuff. They have people trained. They have all the equipment. We'll have a little video later that I did with those guys to show you exactly what they do with the stuff once you bring it to them. But it does not belong in the trash, and it certainly doesn't belong on the ground or down the drain.
No.
And have you had people talk to you about that? Has that been an option people want to do?
Yeah, I think we all come from different backgrounds, and so people might not have a household hazardous waste facility at their house, in their area. They come here, they don't know how great it is that we have one.
Right.
I think you have a story.
Well, my grandpa, when I was 14 in Arkansas, was teaching me how to change oil on my car like a good Arkansas girl should know how to do. And what he taught me was you just put oil into kitty litter and then toss it in the field. And I shudder to think, no one try and farm on my old field in Arkansas. It's not worth it. That's not what we do with these things. And so one of the things we want to talk about are things like paint thinner, mineral spirits, acetone, xylene.
Oh, yeah. Like this.
You've got a story. I'm not the only one with a story.
I know.
And it involves male relatives, I know.
It does, doesn't it? So this product came from my dad when he was helping me do my kitchen cabinets and painting them with oil-based paint. And that's hard to, when you make a mistake, to get oil-based paint off. So you do need a solvent. And he's a painter by trade. And so he brought this big container. It had about this much left.
He'd been saving it.
You know,
he knew somebody
years it took to get to this. But this, he's like, maybe you shouldn't use it, you know. This is when I was in my 30s, and he's like, I'll just use this because it's a solvent. It's pretty nasty stuff.
That's a sign.
So we used it up, but I was like, me being the environmental health geek, I'm like, I'm going to save this can. Someday it's going to come in handy, and
look at that.
Today's the day.
Here's that day. So you make a good point. It took years to get down to there, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things we try and tell people is buy what you need.
Yeah.
If you don't need this big can, try and buy it in this quantity. And that way you don't end up storing it in the garage for 10 years where it becomes hazardous waste. Because if you use up everything in these containers, then you can recycle or get rid of these empty containers. It's when they still have material liquid left in there that then you have to take it to the household hazardous waste.
Yeah.
So motor oil.
That's another hazardous waste.
Yeah, from my story. Now, didn't know at the time, I know it now. And if you use service, they're going to take care of that for you. But not everybody does that when they change the oil in their car.
Right, and sometimes when they, people who change their, the oil in their car, they might put it in like a milk jug. But I bring that up because it's really important that you label anytime you use, if you're not using the original container, you put a label on it. Now you might know that that's motor oil, and you might think, oh, everybody else knows that that's motor oil, but not necessarily, and especially when you take it to the household hazardous waste collection site. It could be, they don't know, it could be mixed with some from diesel or gas, and they need to know those things. So it's really important that you just put a piece of tape, put the name on it, you know, what it is, used oil. And that's really helpful, and it's safe.
Don't assume you're the only one that's going to encounter that repurposed container. Somebody else might come across it, and you want to be sure that they know what to do with it. And
speaking of repurpose, you don't ever want to repurpose one of these containers.
No, like this stuff that had paint thinner in it, this is not the thing to put your dilute bleach in later. No, this is done. We've used it for what we meant to use it. This needs to go into the recycling. Since this is a recyclable once it's empty, and this container is actually empty. We do want to mention, because we keep referring to the household hazardous waste drop-off at the landfill, they're only open Wednesday through Saturday. So Mondays and Tuesdays are closed. And we do want people to know that that changes. At the moment, they're open Wednesday through Saturday. They're not open on Mondays and Tuesdays. And so if you have this material, you want to plan ahead a little bit so that you don't get out there on a Tuesday and they go, oh, we don't have our household hazardous waste guy on staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that they're open on Saturdays from 9 to noon so that people who work Monday through Friday, they can get there on Saturday, and those guys, like you said, they deserve some time off. So
they can't be working.
I can understand it.
I definitely
because you want that Saturday.
Yeah.
If they just were 9 to 5 or Monday through Friday,
then it would be really hard to take advantage.
I couldn't get it there. I couldn't get it there.
So that's Mondays and Tuesdays they're not there, but they're there Wednesday through Saturday when they're open. You can take your household hazardous waste. More household hazardous waste. I've got some stuff. I am guilty. This is from my rooftop garden. This is fertilizer I bought 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And I bought far more than I needed. I used the compost from the landfill, and I just haven't needed to fertilize as much as I used to. So now I've got some material I've got to get rid of, and I know I can't put it in the trash. There's also insecticides. I think you've got an example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's nice about this example is also, one, if the tip breaks
that happens sometimes. This stuff And then what do you do?
It's got the product still in it.
Right.
You need to take it to the household hazardous waste facility. But if you use it all up, this, unfortunately, because it has propellant, they would still love for you to take it up there, but you can't recycle it. But if you take this up there with your other stuff, even though if it's empty, they can take that propellant out and then recycle this. So lots to do with spray cans.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things people see, one of those aluminum cans, and I would say this propane is another example. You see this and you're like, oh, well, this is aluminum, I can recycle it. Yeah, but it's under pressure.
Yeah.
So it creates a significant hazard for the people that deal with our recycling, that it can actually hurt or kill people.
Yeah, it can be dangerous.
Yeah, because this stuff gets compressed and then it explodes and it's very bad.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is take it to the household hazardous waste. They can puncture it so it's no longer dangerous, and then it can go into the recycling.
Yeah.
But none of us have that sort of thing at home.
Nor do we want you to do that at home.
No, 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 no. No. And there are plenty of other kinds of things you can choose to use. There's natural alternative, less toxic alternatives. But keep in mind, just because it says it's natural doesn't mean it's entirely safe.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't drink it, if you'd wash your hands after using it, you probably should take it to the HHW.
Yep.
So something else, paint. Paint is an exciting story.
Yeah.
Because it also goes to the household hazardous waste, but a lot of the paint now is recycled instead of just disposed.
Yeah, it's great. And the thing is, paint is another example of that it's a liquid.
Yeah.
You don't want all this paint to be in the landfill, then you're gonna have a floating landfill.
Right.
So it's important to get it there and get it recycled.
Yeah.
And the trick with the household hazardous waste for a site for the paint is, I know I have all these little cans of paint. Because you know, I had a lot of different colors in my house.
Magenta, and I have a little puce, and I have a
or your little
green.
trials, right?
Yes.
So they're all latex paint, and the landfill, the household hazardous waste facility charges by the gallon.
By the gallon, right.
Not by by the container.
Right.
So if you have a gallon container and it's only half, and you have another gallon container that's half, combine them.
Yeah,
and
instead of getting charged for two.
You want like with like.
Right.
Now, if you have oil-based paints,
Yeah.
you want oil-based paints together, but not oil and latex together.
Yeah, oil and
that
latex,
really messes
oil
things
and water
up for recycling.
Don't mix.
and
They can't
reuse.
do that, right?
Yeah.
But you can put like with like and
Yeah.
fill up the container, and then you can save some money.
Yeah.
And then they can recycle it, and it doesn't matter if they're the same color or not.
Right, no.
They have got some fascinating equipment out there.
Yeah.
They are even more well trained. I do want to mention that it's a transfer facility. They don't actually process the hazardous waste there, but they stage it in such a way that it can be taken by a certified hauler and safely disposed of. And so I had the opportunity to go out there the other day, and I took a little footage, and I'd love for you to have a look at that with me.
Let's do it.
So the household hazardous waste facility is located at the Pitkin County Landfill, and the Pitkin County Landfill is located off of Highway 82 in between Old Snowmass and Snowmass Village. The household hazardous waste, though, is only open Wednesday through Saturday when the landfill is open.
Here's a perfect example of when you get to the landfill, you're going to go over to the household hazardous waste site, and the guys are going to help you sort through what kind of waste you have, because there's different prices. And this is a great time to talk about the waste.
Yeah, every Pitkin County resident gets a $100 waste allowance to spend on disposal at the landfill. And you get that every year. It doesn't accrue, so you don't get $200 in a year that you didn't use any. You only get $100 in a calendar year. But you have $100, and this load was probably $15-20. So that waste allowance can stretch a long ways.
Yeah. And if they're not there, you can bring it to the pallet. And there's different examples. You know, there's the Pine Sol, household cleaner, insecticides, which, you know,
or fertilizers or herbicides, those gardening stuff. A lot of the stuff you use on your car is in that category of household hazardous waste. And if you've used rags to use oil or on solvents, those rags are actually hazardous waste as well.
And here's
love this part.
I know this is the gadget that they use to get the contents out of the aerosol cans. It actually separates the hazardous material from the propellant, and then they can recycle those cans in the steel recycling, the metal recycling, which you can't do unless you drop it to this site because of it's under pressure. You can't put it in the recycling bin.
Yeah, look at all that safety equipment he's wearing while he's using this equipment. You don't have that stuff in your garage.
I don't.
I don't. We don't even have it at the cities. That's why we bring it to them where they have the right tools. Here's that paint recycling that we talked about before.
I know, I love this shot because it's going to show a little chunk that comes out of it.
Oh,
yeah, you're not using that.
Paint.
But they can separate that and get some, turn into a reusable product.
Now, the fluorescent tubes, we talked about CFLs, but there's also fluorescent tubes. And the reason there's a cost associated with all of these disposal techniques is it costs money to have that specialized equipment.
Yeah, and what's great is that this is reducing the amount of waste that they have to actually take to the processor. It's separating out the mercury, and the glass can then just go in the landfill.
And it's done by people who are certified to do it. Now, this is a shot that shows you no automotive batteries go at the Rio Grande.
None.
No. All automotive batteries go to the Pitkin County Household Hazardous Waste, which is equipped with the right storage, whether it's corrosive or flammable or it's an oxidizer. They have the right equipment to deal with that and to store it.
Yeah, I mean, this is bomb-proof. This is explosion-proof, fire-proof, waterproof. Has a spill containment on the bottom. Your garage, your shed, your basement, under your kitchen doesn't have this stuff. I'd rather have stuff that could explode be in that thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a safe place to keep it. This is why we got to take it to these guys.
Yeah, and oxidizers are the pool chemicals.
And the Household Hazardous Waste Facility does charge, but all Pitkin County residents can use their waste allowance to cover any charges they incur. And the prices are as minimal as the landfill can make them.
Oh my goodness, I am always so fascinated by a journey out to the landfill.
It's
great.
Amazing. It's an awesome place.
They have spent a lot of money investing and improving that facility over the last few years, and I hope that the community realizes what a resource we have there.
And they should get up there, not only to take advantage of all the things you can do and to get this stuff out of your house, but also to, I mean, it's one of the most beautifully scenic locations for a landfill. Like, it's amazing.
Well, I have to admit, when we were doing the waste sort, there were a number of times when the folks from Denver, because sorting through trash is not the most glamorous thing that one could choose to do. And there were a couple of moments when those Denver folks would just stop and look around and go, yeah, this is gorgeous, trash or not. So we talked about, we showed all the stuff that they do at the Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off. Again, open Wednesday through Saturday. But there's a few things that you can do in the city of Aspen with your household hazardous waste.
Yeah.
Smaller stuff. And the first thing that I feel is important to touch on are household batteries, right?
Yeah.
So at the Rio Grande Recycling Center, we have a place where you can drop off household batteries. Not car batteries, not truck batteries, as you saw in the video. There's a place at the landfill.
Don't take it there.
None of those big.
Just these little guys.
Batteries. Little ones that you use for your devices. And this 9-volt battery, I don't even remember, gosh, what you even use that for. But I feel like you might have a story to share.
I cannot believe it, but I do have a story to share. And I want to use this as a prop and use this one. So actually, this just happened on Tuesday.
Tuesday this week.
In our office.
Breaking news.
So we have a chemical management program for the city, and we track our hazardous waste, and we show that we are not putting hazardous waste into the landfill, just to be responsible stewards. And one of the things is battery collection, and we help people out in City Hall so they don't all have to walk down to the Rio Grande, even though it's a beautiful walk. So we have one in our office, and we have a container. It's about this high, and it's just open, and people just come in and randomly put batteries in. Well, Tuesday we had this huge explosion.
An explosion in the office.
It was a big bang and a puff of smoke.
Smoke and a bang. That is an explosion,
and a stinky
as I
smell.
understand it. Yeah.
In our office in environmental health, but safety is priority for us, and this is something we didn't know. So a 9-volt battery, they have the positive and negative.
Right. It's on the same end,
There still could be some energy in this old battery. It might not be enough to power whatever you're using, but it has enough. And what happened was that it was touching this other battery long enough that it energized, and it caused this battery to explode. I mean,
you keep diminishing this, but bang and puff of smoke. Explode.
So did some research, and hey, we're all doing our best. It's process improvement. So what I learned is that you want to put tape over this so that you have a barrier, so that never can happen. And the thing is, what you can find is that people put these in their junk drawers because they have one battery. And they're like, well, I don't need to go all the way to the Rio Grande for one battery. Sure. Well, maybe you might want to now. We still want you to tape it because it's a bulk bin there, and we don't want that to happen. And it's a rare occasion. I mean, we've been doing this for probably 15 years, right? So
it hasn't happened before.
But it could cause a fire if you had it in a junk drawer that had paper. You see where I'm going with this?
I do.
So taping the batteries, we'd love to see starting at the Rio Grande Recycling Center. Yeah. Everybody's watching to, tape
your
that.
batteries. Just keep those contact points covered.
Yeah, and then you'll never have a problem.
We don't transfer energy.
And that is why this battery needs to be properly recycled at the household hazardous waste facility.
And something that I don't know that people realize, but most of these materials, a lot of them are combustible. And one of the biggest causes of fires across the United States, and including Aspen, is trash. People putting stuff that is flammable, that doesn't belong there, in the trash, it starts a fire, whether it's a battery or it's a solvent of some sort. So we don't need fires. Nature gives us plenty of fires, and we don't need to add to that.
Yeah.
But in addition to the batteries, there's CFLs. Now, these contain mercury. Bad stuff. You don't want to breathe it. You don't want it to escape in the air. You don't want it to
play
be in
with
trash.
it.
No. So they're great for energy conservation. Yeah. But when they're done, because they've lasted the extra 5 years, 3 years that these last, they also need to be properly recycled. So they don't go in the trash. We don't have a facility for holding these at the Rio Grande Recycle bin, at the Recycle Center, because they're a little bit too dangerous. They need to be handled with care.
Yep.
So at our office on the second floor of City Hall, there's a bin that's covered in plastic, so we can put these in there safely. Alpine Bank, second floor of Alpine Bank, they have a bucket where they will safely take these. And then we pay to have these recycled by Bright Ideas down in Carbondale. But it's a service we offer for free to the residents, and Alpine Bank also offers it for free.
And another service that we offer at City Hall is you can take your thermostats, the old thermostats, and they have like these vials.
Old school, like the round ones or the funky ones that my grandma had. Yeah.
And the thing is, the reason why we got one of those bins was mercury can be difficult and costly to recycle and to dispose of properly. And we have an Energy Smart program.
And we're trying to get people to get rid of those old, inaccurate, inefficient thermostats.
Exactly. So we have a spot in our office that we can take them, but it has to be intact.
Right.
You can't take them apart and then give us just the vial or just the back. It has to be intact because it's in my office, so I need to have it protected and safe. So
if you've played Susie Scientist with it because you're curious, you need to take that little vial to the household hazardous waste facility at the Pitkin County landfill.
Yeah.
We can't handle it. You know, if it's encased in that thermostat because you've pulled it off the wall as you replaced it, we can take that and recycle it because it's protected and we're not putting you in danger. And again, we pay for that, but we don't charge our citizens.
Correct.
We pay for that out of our annual budget. And so you mentioned at the beginning of the program that you do chemical management for the city of Aspen. Can you speak just a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this is probably watched our show, Talking Trashy's probably more residential people, but maybe some businesses watch this as well.
Or the people who watch us have a job at a business.
That's true. So
I hope some of our viewers are employed.
Yeah, so basically any business has an extra responsibility by law. They cannot throw any of this stuff away. And they're responsible to do it correctly and manage it properly. And so I run that program for the city of Aspen. And so we have a lot of departments. And so what we do is we track all our waste. And you actually help me with the trainings that we do. And it's fascinating how many different laws waste has.
Right?
I mean, I couldn't even list them all. There are so many. Not just, there's solid waste, and then defining what solid waste is. And so educating our staff on what that means and the ways to do it is something that we've been doing for years. And I feel good because then we can tell the landfill, hey, we have proof that we're not throwing all this stuff in the trash.
Yeah.
So.
And I had the good fortune to go around with the state inspector a few months ago. Unfortunately, you couldn't join us, but I'm kind of glad because I learned a lot going through with him. And it was really a great testament to the work that you've done and the work that our other city workers do, because they said, yeah, you guys are storing it right, you're disposing of it properly, good job, keep it up. We can check off Aspen as one of the places that's responsibly managing that waste, which was great to hear.
Right, and for people who work as a business, have a business or work at a place that has this stuff, if you are what's called conditionally exempt small quantity generator, which is the city, we're big, and we are, because we use mostly household hazardous stuff.
Right, we use a lot of this stuff.
But because we're a business, it's now regulated differently.
Sure.
But it's not very toxic. And so by having small amounts or things that aren't really listed as super hazardous, we can use the household hazardous waste facility as well. As long as we're small businesses, you know, if we're an auto mechanic shop and we have, you know, a lot of solvents or things like that, they might not be able to use the household hazardous waste facility. But that's one of the great things about having a program, is you can then prove that you're conditionally exempt, and then you can use the landfill, the household hazardous waste facility at the landfill, and it's a lot easier to do the right thing than having to hire Safety Clean or Clean Harbors.
Right, because there are some great companies that provide that service for businesses, but most of the ones in Aspen, you know, we don't have a lot of factories, we don't have a lot of big industry here, so those small businesses can take advantage of that. And I just wanted to remind our viewers that we are resources at the Environmental Health and Sustainability Department. We have a website at the City of Aspen. You can look for departments, environmental health. We are happy to put you in touch with the right people if you want to be part of that state program. We're happy to answer your questions if you've got some specific things. We've talked about a lot today, but we haven't talked about everything you might have in your house that you look at it that says, keep out of your eyes, do not swallow, dispose of properly. And that brings me to something I don't know if we've mentioned. It's a lot of fine print on these things, but they put it there for a reason. You know, read it. If you're using this stuff that might be hazardous, it behooves you and the rest of us for you to follow these instructions for how you use it, how you store it, and then what we're talking about today, how you get rid of the stuff that you have left over. So you can visit our website. We've got a whole page devoted to household hazardous waste at cityofaspen.com. You can also go to the Landfill Rules webpage. They also have a page devoted to household hazardous waste. As a reminder, the hours for the household hazardous waste drop-off at the landfill are Wednesday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30, Saturdays, 9 a.m. until noon.
Yep.
Not on Monday and Tuesday.
Don't go there with your hazardous waste.
No, no, not on Monday and Tuesday. You
Not
can go there
on
with
Monday
other
and Tuesday.
things. They'll tell you to come back. So thank you, Jeanette, for being on Talking Trashy.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. Your wealth is immense. We'll have to come back and talk about more stuff.
I hope so.
But for the time being, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Talking Trashy. I am Liz Chapman. I'm at the City of Aspen. If you've got ideas for future shows, you can contact me at liz.chapman@thecityofaspen.com. You can call me at 970-429-1831. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to more shows, to answering more questions about waste and recycling and doing it right, doing it safely, and avoiding it if we can. Thanks.
Well, you've been making your brags around town that you've been a lover, my man. But the man I love, when he picks up trash, he puts it in a garbage can.
The City of Aspen makes waste reduction a priority to protect our environment, conserve resources, and reduce greenhouse gases. We provide trash and recycling options throughout Aspen, as well as supplies for those who want to divert waste through composting. Residents and visitors are encouraged to reuse items and then recycle what can't be used again. Whether you're taking a walk in the park, cleaning out closets, or making a meal, Aspen provides the receptacles and guidelines to help you reduce waste. Reusing, recycling, and composting are ways everyone can help keep Aspen clean and beautiful. The City of Aspen is here to help make waste reduction and diversion possible by increasing the understanding of what it takes to ensure proper disposal, recycling, and composting of waste. We appreciate your interest in sharing what you learn on Talking Trashy. The City of Aspen Environmental Health and Sustainability Department is proud to provide this program as a service to our community. We welcome your questions and ideas for future programming. For more information about all of our environmental programs, please visit www.cityofaspen.com. Thank you for watching.
Talking Trashy is generously supported by Evergreen Zero Waste.